Scotland, good morning social media land, I hope you're well. It is Monday the 5th of May 2025. It happened, and it happened hard and fast, and will have repercussions in Scotland that we are still yet to accept. In the recent English local elections, Nigel Farage's party stormed into town halls across England, securing 670 seats, taking control of 10 councils, and even winning a Westminster by-election, overturning a previous Labour majority of nearly 15,000 votes, and winning just by 6. A party once dismissed as fringe now polls ahead of the Tories in parts of England. This isn't a protest vote anymore. It's a full-blown revolt, and it's only gaining pace. With wall-to-wall coverage on GB News, headlines in the mainstream media repeating Farage's soundbites unchallenged, and social media flooding with common sense Farage nationalism, Reform UK is no longer shouting from the sidelines. They're being handed the mic and given the stage. And here's the truth that should terrify Scotland. We won't vote for this, but we will still have to live with it. The further England lurches into reactionary politics, the more we're shackled to decisions we never made. They're not just coming for votes in England, they're actually coming for the whole of the UK. So the question isn't whether Reform UK is dangerous. The question is, what happens to Scotland if we keep letting England decide our future? Farage has never needed to build a movement from the ground up. The media has always done it for him. GB News gives him a permanent platform. Talk TV, the tabloids, the right-wing Twitter circles push his message daily. Even supposedly impartial media outlets elevate Reform UK by giving them uncritical airtime, quoting them in headlines without scrutiny, and treating Farage like a statesman instead of a self-serving demagogue. This is how Reform UK grows, not through mass activism, but through manufactured legitimacy. A party with no governing experience, no costed platform, and no moral compass is being made to look serious and popular. And it's working. This isn't Farage's first rodeo, remember. Reform UK is just the latest mask for a project he has been pushing for decades. A Britain built on fear, division, and imperial nostalgia. He started with UKIP, channeling discontent into anti-immigration rage and exploiting EU scepticism to tear up the political consensus. When UKIP became toxic, he launched the Brexit Party and rebranded that as Reform UK after Brexit was completed. Every version of his party has had the same core message: blame immigrants, mock progressive values, worship Britain's colonial past, and pretend it's all in the name of common sense. It's not. It's calculated extremism dressed in a populist suit, and it's gaining ground fast. Here's the bit the headlines never mention. Reform UK's policies are a loaded gun aimed at their own voters. They propose £150 billion in public service cuts, more private involvement in the NHS, tax breaks for the rich and for private schools, and stripping down working age benefits. No support for workers' rights, unions or minimum wage increases, a return to brutal austerity that punishes the poor, the disabled and the young. This is not a party for the people. It's a party for those who want to step over the people. If you're working class and you're voting Reform, you're a turkey voting for Christmas. But the masses will forget all this as they are dazzled by the issues of migrants and the culture war that blames them for the problems that the UK working class is experiencing. But immigrants aren't the problem, but to Reform UK they are the perfect distraction. Instead of blaming billionaires, landlords or broken systems, they blame desperate people in boats. They want to exit the European Convention on Human Rights. They want to deport migrants without process. And they want to set up a Department of Immigration. They whip up fear of invasion while ignoring the collapse of public services. They claim to be defending British values. But what values are left if compassion, law, and the truth are discarded? This is England's future, but it doesn't have to be ours. If Farage props up a hung parliament, or worse, enters number 10, Scotland is at his mercy. Our NHS, our devolved parliament, our economic stability, our climate policy, and our fledgling social security systems, all of it vulnerable to Westminster override. And under Farage, it would be an extreme right-wing override. This isn't scaremongering, this is history. The UK government has already blocked Scotland's laws, ignored our votes and shut down our democratic voice. Reform would make that permanent. If the politics of Farage doesn't waken you up, then please listen closely to this. Here's what he has planned for your children. Reform UK wants to reprogram Scotland's young people to love the British Empire. That is not hyperbole. It's a direct quote from their chair of reform, Zia Youssef. He says children are being demoralised by being told the truth about British history. His solution is to force schools to teach that the British Empire was more good than bad. Replace modern art with statues of colonial heroes, telling the working class children in Glasgow, Dundee and Inverness to be proud of the very empire that cleared the Highlands, crushed rebellion and tried to erase the Scottish identity. They call it remoralisation. It's re-education. It's dystopian reprogramming. This is not a curriculum, it's an indoctrination program to raise a generation loyal not to the truth, but to the myth of a benevolent Britain. If you don't believe they'll try to impose this on Scotland, you have not been paying attention, because they've already blocked our laws. So do you really think they won't dictate what happens in our classrooms next? If we don't act, our children will be taught to forget who they are. They'll be told that protesting against racism is unpatriotic. They'll be told to love an empire that tried to silence their ancestors, and one day they'll be told that fighting for Scotland's freedom was treason. Reform UK is not an English problem, it's a UK-wide threat. And the only firewall we have left is our nation's independence. So what are you going to do about it? Vote for unionist parties in 2026? Or are you going to vote for Scotland? I'm going to vote for Scotland before they make it illegal to remember who we are.